Hi, good morning. The last day of June. This morning, my concentration for the presentation will be the strategy and the mindset a person need to have for tackling this examination. This particular Google slide had been uploaded into estateagentexam.com earlier on. However, there was no video being done for this series of slides. There are some slides I have made, but yet with no video. So I will concentrate to do some video to elaborate on those things in the slides. So let me start by clicking the PowerPoint. This presentation, in fact, shows the front page of the board Lembaga website, which is lppeh.gov.my. Although the name has been amended, or in a way, in the law has amended to include property managers, the website address is still LPPEH. So LPPEH is Lembaga Penilai Penaksir and Agent Hartanah. So the EH at the back is Agent Hartanah or Harta Tanah, whereas now is should be with the Pengurus Harta. So the Pengurus Harta has not been changed or inserted into the name of the website. Of course, the domain name of the website is a particular domain name which people already remember, so it's in fact not wise or not advisable to simply change the domain name. Well, it is up to the board and not for me to say about this comment about this aspect of the domain name. So Bovia is now changed to Vovip. So this presentation is about how to focus in your tackling of this examination. So I start to introduce you what I have been doing for the past 1.5 years. Of course, I have a website estateagentexam.com, which you already know, and then the other website is justletakproperty.com. So justletakproperty.com is a listing website with a lot of article related to happenings in the market. So some of these writing has been incorporated to make the reading much interesting than just looking at the listings. So the concept is more of a in-between listing website as well as a website for information about real estate. I have been around for a while in the practice as a probationary estate agent. My number is 2066. I'm under H. Simon Real Estate in Kuching, and I am also having a few activity on Just Letak blog. Part of it is my website activities, and to also include the new contract to you.com. So my research interest has been or I'm passionate and has been in the index, comparative index, real property analytics, and I have come up with my own terminology of inter-property index, IPI. So this IPI is been explained in another video under the contract to you.com. You can go there and understand a bit better or more about what is contract2you.com and how it's able to provide different aspect of property analysis. So now the talk today about your strategy or focus into doing the exam is actually subdivided into 3 areas, 3 key components in order to focus to pass the board diploma in estate agency examinations. So as you already know, this is a part 1 6 paper, part 2 6 paper diploma, and you need to go through a whole lot of part 1 before you can sign up to do your part 2. So most people would take about 2 to 3 years for each part. So basically, averagely, people pass the all the paper examination about 4 to 5 years. There are some very smart students who can pass in one sitting. So there is a lot, in fact, to do with personal goal, personal choice of focus, and also how desperate a person for passing the exam. So I would like to go into these 3 aspects which may be able to help in order for you to pass the exam. So system, what do I mean by system? System means you have 3 components inside yourself which is controlled by you yourself. One is knowledge, your knowledge about the exam. 2 is the strategy that you have to tackle the exam, and 3rd is your discipline in doing this exam study in a focused manner, in a consistent manner. A lot of people tend to do it last minute, and therefore when they go to the exam, well, they can remember probably only 10 to 20% of what they have studied in the last 3 days. Simply because our memory is short-term memory and also long-term memory. So the one that we remember most is actually long-term memory. You would remember your very important days in your graduation, or in the days of your first birthday or things like that. That is considered long-term memory. And the short-term memory is like what you have done yesterday, who have you seen yesterday. And this short-term memory is actually short-stay. So therefore, if you study a few days ahead of the exam, you probably have a short-term memory, which is certain key memory just last a few moments before you enter the exam hall. Because you just imagine that you have 2 hard drive. One is the permanent hard drive, another one is the RAM, the temporary memory. So your short-term memory is the RAM. So if your RAM is only 4 gig, and then you're expecting to keep 1 terabyte information, definitely it has to select only the last few that has been entered, and forget all the others which you have studied earlier on. So long-term memory means you have to repeatedly learn, and therefore able to recall or memorize and reuse the same information over and over. And this over and over repetition would put your memory into long term, and you can even remember after a few weeks or even years after the event. So discipline in order to keep the information in the medium to long term memory would be a key to your success in recall for the exam purpose. So let's take the easier aspect first. Easier aspect means your mindset, your surrounding, because these are things that may change according to your choice. So mindset, your own choice, and surrounding sometimes is not your choice, sometimes is your choice. So you can avoid, in the sense that your surrounding should be the conducive surrounding for your study, rather than choosing a surrounding that affects your focus. So we will talk about the more complicated later, as in your system, because just now I have gone through a bit on the system part, and you already probably feel that it is too lengthy to go in detail. So we will go for the mindset and surrounding first. Mindset, well, this is one major issue. A lot of people do not have the mindset, and then they have probably a certain interpretation of the purpose that they do this exam, and therefore their mindset for this exam may differ after certain length of time they are involved with the examination preparation. So the mindset is that, do you really want to go through 4 to 5 years of study? Do you want to burn the midnight oil and suffer for the failure in the exam for the next few years? So these are things that you have to choose. Or you are the type who is, I must do it, and I must die, must do it, and I have no question on this focus and this determination to do the exam. It is not a simple one-off examination. As you can see in a lot of colleges, they will do an internal exam, and then whether you pass or fail, you will have to sit for the retest if you fail, and within that 1 or 2 weeks retest, you will sure pass. This is not the case, because the diploma in estate agency conducted by the Board of Valuer, Appraiser, Estate Agent and Property Managers is a public exam, and if you do not pass in the year exam, you have to retake the failed subjects in the subsequent year. So that means you have to wait for another easily 11 month to go to another exam, and you would have no idea whether you can surely pass the subsequent exam. So the journey is long and torturous, and sometimes do you enjoy the journey? If you do not enjoy the journey, in the mid of doing something which you always complain of doing, you likely give up. So the mindset to have this exam is your choice, of course. It's difficult to say who would survive at the end of the exam and who would give up until you are doing it yourself. So do not judge that others can do and definitely you would be able to do, or others cannot do and therefore you are not going to succeed in the coming years. So it is on individual mindset, and have a positive mindset is like you have a brighter future because you are looking at the successes and the glory, or as in the achievement. So this is on the right hand side. As you can see, it is a clear sky and shiny, and it's going to be probably very easing. Whereas on the left, you can see it is a dark sky and it has got maybe storm coming. There is a cloud overshadowing the road, and you are uncertain, and you may have to go through all this mindset of making you think better, think more positive to overcome this. So the mindset switches in between left and right at times when you go through the exam. So a need of further understanding is that during the downtime, you have to have a way to bring yourself up. So always try to think of the positive side, try to think of the better, rather than going down the hill and giving up, you may at the end regret of your mindset rather than failing the exam due to inability or not enough preparation. Your surrounding sometimes it is your choice, and a lot of time people tend to have a lot of disturbances and distraction when they are in the adult career. So in the adult career, you tend to have distraction because of commitment in life, and where you stay, as well as in KL, in bigger city, a lot of traffic jam, a lot of commitment on timing to meet clients, and a lot of that actually is to be seen in the case of how you can go around this surrounding issue. So meaning to say, if you have a very busy lifestyle, then you probably cannot go to classes, and if you still need to learn, you probably need to learn during intervals in between meetings, in between journey to go back, and these are areas of suitability to learn and to prepare for the exam. So online learning and online e-learning platforms like estateagentexam.com is a viable method for people to look into getting around this surrounding problem and concentrate in a small span of time to study. And sometimes this can be very effective way of studying. You tend to only remember certain important parts which you have the strategy to capture and use it in your exam. So effectiveness of study need to be developed over the surrounding that is affecting student. A student who is smart would be able to go around the obstacles and achieve the a good result at the end of the exam. So peaceful way of studying without disturbances is a luxury item nowadays, because we tend to be disturbed by all the social media, and also people call you anytime if you are actually in the job as a negotiator or as a salesperson. So your own space and support from family, study group will be able to give you some combination of supports of study. So somehow some gang of group study may help in achieving certain satisfaction of getting a benchmark of how much you have done. So that would encourage you as a player of the group, as a study group matures, and therefore improve the ability to keep to pace and later on be prepared for your exam. So we have the WhatsApp study group, which allow users of the WhatsApp group to remind each other and to motivate each other for the exam subjects, as well as the deadline for registration and taking exam in the time is near. So now we come to the complicated part, which is your system. Because system is a series of things which components which can actually work together or work as in a series of events. So you need to think about knowledge, strategy and discipline in the whole lot of mechanism together. And in the way it is good to start with strategy and then go to your discipline and then to the knowledge. Why I say so? It is because different person has different way of acquiring knowledge and information. So somehow in the exam there is a limited time. You do not actually prepare for exam, and there is no deadline for the examination. So definitely examination, especially public examination, has a debt, and you need to have a so-called path planned up for you to do the necessary to be ready for the examination. So your strategy need to be clear. You do certain things and in a certain way so that you can have the best outcome to sit for the examination. After having have your own strategy, then you need to develop your own discipline to carry out that particular strategy in bits of sequence. And for example, your strategy can be doing a few subjects and then looking at the past 5 years questions and come out with the most commonly asked topics. And then your discipline will be doing every day one subject, one commonly asked topic. So that discipline, it need to be in place for you to complete the amount of total of 5 years questions on a common asked topics. So when you do the strategy and you carry out with the discipline, then you gather all the knowledge that is required for you to answer those common question topics that may come out in the subsequent examination. So your knowledge is built on your previous discipline of learning the same repeat topics, and then your strategy of targeting at these predictable questions coming up in the examination. So when you enter the examination hall, you are confident to see yourself doing those questions if it appear again in a common repeat topics, and you will tackle all these repeat topics questions before you go to the difficult questions or those questions you were not as well prepared compared to those repeat topics. So this is your strategy and discipline to achieve the best outcome in your performance in the examination hall. So your system in a plan is you need to work out a system of plans, set some targets. I have given example just now, and to do your target, the bigger target to smaller target for a week or day, or just you just read certain thing on that particular day. So not every day you can do deep study, but certain day you just do not have the time, you will just do some simple reading. But at least you have spaced out time for certain discipline plan jobs to do. In the sense, the jobs is to acquire knowledge, to be able to keep aside for use in the exam hall. Make your target as little as achievable as possible, so that you actually feel that you have accomplished something. So that will give you the boost to continue the future study, and therefore this will bring up your mindset that you actually have a positive way of looking at the exam, and you are not going to go through that moody, stormy types of treacherous path. Usually I would prefer to do the easy first and hard later, simply because of the emotional part. If you are handling your emotional difficulties by giving you rewards and easy achievements in the initial stage, you're likely to continue, rather than doing the tough ones and having failure and having discouraged for continuing the purpose of studying. So it becomes a habit, and therefore it makes your study sequence easier day in, day out until the examination. You will not expect a person who do not study or who does not study and yet pass the exam with 1 week crash course, simply because this diploma in estate agency exam for some subjects are pretty much of higher level, and therefore a person who doesn't write the correct terminology or the correct term used in the examination would not gain a pass. System 2 is about discipline, where I have spoken about habits, doing it repeatedly, and repetition would improve your memory and definitely would give you confidence also in the targeting of the types of repeat topics. So reading on a passive manner to become a more active manner, in fact, is my method of study. So in order to memorize more things, you tend to read more, but then the more you read, the more you feel that you have a lot more else to read. So this is a bit of negative in the mindset, so I always do a more positive way by using the question system. So while reading, I would ask questions, and when I ask questions, I will break into small questions, and when I break the questions into smaller parts and able to answer the smaller parts, I will feel better and easier to remember what I've studied. So this is a bit of my own strategy. It may be useful to you, and I hope it can help you in your quest to pass the exam. So a lot of time in the discipline of doing things, you tend to have disturbances, distractions, and also temptations play game, to have easier time with family, maybe go for movie and things like that. So it tend to make a lot difficult for you to catch up the momentum of study. So when you do that often, you do the disturbances too often, then you will already do not have the mindset, positive mindset to carry on. So avoid some of these distraction temptation, so that you have a simple way of life, doing a simple routine job, and doing that to make you feel more committed for your studies. Our knowledge, in fact, is quite wide and also sometimes quite focused, because it is a professional diploma. It is not on the aspect of a general diploma. That means you are looking at a diploma which will allow you practice of a profession. So this is different from just studying for a simple diploma to be able to gain a bit of knowledge. This is not a bit of knowledge. This is an in-depth ability to continue a training to be a professional and be given the position of a professional equivalent to any other professionals in the career of an estate agency. Meaning to say, as an estate agent, a registered estate agent, you are equivalent of an architect, equivalent of a land surveyor, equivalent of a doctor, equivalent of a lawyer. So this is no joke professional diploma. So the amount of legal requirement that is needed is immense. So do look at it from a more focused point of a diploma in a higher advanced diploma, rather than just an entry diploma. So the primary source of books would be college material. Some people use college material, some people use some textbooks, and then the secondary source usually are those past year questions answered by somebody else. Somehow you have college material where you have answers already from other earlier lecturers. Online materials, for example, estateagentexam.com, which is my own work and my own suggested answers. So these are materials that can support your study for the diploma in estate agency. So we do have others who borrow notes from seniors, and then in fact pass with those notes. Those are very nice, good summaries, and they are good in the sense that it's been proven effective in earlier seniors, and therefore these are good things that you should think of getting for preparation of your exam. Strategy for repeat past year, I want to just touch on a fair bit. A lot of people tends to use college material and books and also suggested answers without practicing it on their own. So you have some repeat topics, and you need to write it out yourself, and then try to do it without looking at others. Do not just read and expect that you are able to remember everything. This is a big mistake a lot of people make. That means they read one material, after that they feel that they are not enough material yet, they will read another new material, and then they keep on reading newer material, but without processing those information and reproduce them in their own way. So when they come to the exam hall and start to write, they suddenly have so much questions about whether it is this or it is that was read by them. So they may question even the concept that they have read may be interpreted wrongly. So in the exam, you do not have those time to question and argue over your material read. You just need to produce in your own way those material that you have studied. So you need to practice. Take out a blank piece of paper, practice over the last 5 years, or if you can, last 8 to 9 years of questions, and in that manner you will be able to crystallize your thinking and be able to produce a good writing for your examiner to give you good marks to pass the exam. So giving a good example, giving good graphic diagrams, giving good explanation in so-called graphic way is indispensable, and individually it is one of the ways to attract attention of the examiner to give award you more marks. So this is common sense, and a lot of people knows this, but never really carry out in the examination. So this is key to passing the exam. Exam management, of course, you need to answer the number of questions, and you need to be sure of what you are answering. So choose the correct questions, choose the correct sub-questions also. Look at the marks at the end. Usually they will give the marks at the end of that question. Maybe a question in total is 25 marks, but the part 1 is 10, part 2 is another 10, and then there is a sub part which is 5 marks. So make sure your part 1, part 2, which are 20 marks, you can answer, rather than wow, I'm so glad I have prepared for the part 3, which is only 5 marks, yet there are 20 marks that you are looking at in the question whereby you have no idea of. So this is a technique in the exam, and it's quite straightforward. People tend to foresee this coming, so they will choose the correct question and answers. So study those repeat topics and target all the questions with the repeat topics so that they give you the maximum number of marks. So the answer is to give good answers, straightforward answers, and then only relevant answers. Don't do anything which is not relevant and unimportant. The questions you drag on answering may give you the indication that you are answering the wrong things. So a question which is given 5 marks, don't write a 20 marks answer. So that is important, and I'm putting this as a very important part, is you only need to put relevant things and not trash. Examiner doesn't want to read, especially when they read something that is irrelevant. They will cross the whole answers out, and you will waste all your energy writing that 2.5 pages of answer sheets. Your markers, your examiner doesn't want to fail you. They just want to pass you, but you have to give them reason to pass you. You have to give them easy to reach reasons to pass you. So that is the answer to a lot of time. In fact, people who studied well but fail the exam. Examination parts will be part 1 and part 2, 01 to 06 in part 1, 07 to 12 in part 2. So the strategy would be the 3 attempt rules. You have to make sure you go through the 3 attempt rules, meaning to say you have to pass all the 6 papers in maximum 3 times of examination in the part 1. If you fail to do that, then you have to go back to the fresh start, meaning to do all the 6 papers in the 4th attempt. So this is important to make sure that you target difficult to pass subjects in all 3 attempts. For example, if law is your difficult subject, please always make sure you take law in the 1st attempt. So in case you fail, you still have 2nd and the 3rd attempt. Don't do the easy subjects whereby you pass all in 1st attempt, and then when you come to the 2nd attempt, only then you do the difficult subject, which you only left with for a final attempt. So if you need more attempt for a subject which is hard, please do as early as possible in the examination. So the part 1, Introduction to Law, Property Taxation and Principle of Marketing, a lot of people fail these 3 subjects. So do these 3 subjects in the 1st attempt. Don't keep this difficult subject to the last attempt, where you would actually have to repeat the whole lot of 6 subjects in the subsequent 4th attempt. So similarly, in part 2, they are difficult to pass subjects, and the law subjects, as I highlighted in orange, these are law-related subjects. So it is advisable to do these subjects together in the same sitting, so that you need not have to cross study. Would actually make your job easier in this scenario. So strategy is to do difficult subject in the first part, and then do similar subjects in the second part together. So do the different ones, lose one later, and then do as many as you can in the first attempt, so that you can get the most passes in the first attempt. So left with the failed subjects in the second attempt, and in fact some of the difficult subject you may even try the third attempt. Thank you so much, and I hope that this video can give you some strategy and some motivation for you to look into your personal choice of working out strategy, carrying out your discipline of work, and also study. A lot of you are adults, I'm sure, doing your own negotiated job, as well as you may be involved in other industries and be given targets to achieve. So you need to space out your time and strategize your preparation for the exam. The answer for whoever you are, your position and your vision and mission in the future, how do you view yourself different from others? So this is something you need to look at in the ongoing quest for a better future. And lastly, just to recapture, estate agent examination can be done online and on a self-study mode by using the estateagentexam.com portal. Thank you so much.